Who are you? I asked the darkness. I am Philemon, the voice replied, and you are not ready to understand what I have to teach. June 1914. I sat alone in my study, speaking aloud to empty air. My servants thought I'd gone mad. They could hear me having full conversations with no one. But the voice I heard was clearer than any human voice, more real, more present. Today, you learn auditory dialogue, the most intimate form of active imagination. Because when the unconscious speaks, it uses words you've never thought. Most people think inner voices mean insanity. But I discovered something extraordinary. There's a profound difference between pathological voices and the autonomous speech of complexes. As I wrote, I observed the figures and listened to their statements. They said things which I had not consciously thought. The key word, consciously. These voices come from parts of your psyche that have their own consciousness. The auditory dialogue technique has 5 components. First, the inner silence, creating space for voices to emerge. Second, the first question, opening the dialogue deliberately. Third, the listening stance, receiving without creating. Fourth, the verbal response, speaking back out loud. Fifth, the conversation, allowing genuine dialogue to unfold. Here's what I never published. Speaking out loud is essential. When you only think your responses, the ego stays in control. But when you speak aloud, something shifts. The dialogue becomes real, external, objective. My colleague thought I was having a psychotic break. Until I had him try it. Within minutes, he was in tears speaking to his deceased father, receiving answers to questions he'd carried for 20 years. But there are rules for safety. Never obey commands immediately. Always question. If a voice claims ultimate authority, it's ego inflation, not genuine dialogue. True inner figures will discuss, debate, even argue, but they won't demand blind obedience. As I learned, Philemon and I had many conversations. Sometimes he seemed quite real, as if he were a living personality. Today's practice may feel strange. Speaking to no one. But remember, You're speaking to autonomous parts of your own psyche. Have water ready. Your throat may become dry. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Find your threshold state. Now create inner silence. Not empty mind, but listening space. Like sitting in a dark room waiting for someone to speak. When you're ready, ask aloud, is anyone there? Actually speak it. Move your lips. Use your voice. Now listen. Not for what you expect, but for what comes. You might hear nothing. That's normal. Or you might hear something, a word, a phrase, a voice. If you hear something, respond aloud. Who are you? Listen for the answer. Don't create it. Don't imagine it. Wait for it. If a voice responds, ask, what do you want to tell me? Listen. If you receive an answer, speak back. Have a real conversation. Out loud. Ask questions like, why are you here? What do you know that I don't? What do you need? If dialogue is happening, continue. If not, simply sit in the listening space. Now begin your return. If you are in dialogue, say aloud, thank you. I must go now. We'll speak again. Complete your return sequence. Open your eyes. Write down any dialogue immediately, word for word. If you heard nothing, that's perfectly normal. It took me weeks before Philemon first spoke clearly. The important thing? You've created the space for dialogue. Here's the deep truth about auditory dialogue. These voices aren't hallucinations. They're not symptoms. They're the natural speech of autonomous complexes. Every complex in your psyche has its own voice, its own perspective, its own wisdom. As I wrote, I was able to maintain my critical stance and dialogue with the inner figures. Tomorrow day, 10 kinesthetic activation. How to let your body become the instrument of active imagination. Movement, gesture, dance. But tonight, before sleep, ask one more time, is anyone there? You might be surprised who answers.